Do you like Ascent? Do you like Haven? Well, oh boy, does Riot have something for you. In this new act, Riot has introduced a brand new map to the game. It's called Pearl, and lucky for me, I was able to test it out early and provide some feedback. To make a long story short, I believe that this map is going to be a lot of people's favorites. So, let's quit talking about it and hop right into how you should be playing Pearl this upcoming act. But before we get started, I think it's only fair that we share a moment of silence for Split, as it has been rotated out of this act's map pool. Thank God. Okay, I don't know if Riot is going to rework it, change it, or do something to it, but what I do know is that if you are a Split fan, then Pearl should be a good replacement until it's back. What I mean by that is that just like Split, mid control is going to be very, very important. Let's just take a look at the map's layout. Alright, so let's say that your team just wants to hit A. Okay, well, you're going to do that by Sero joining up A main, laying smokes, and hitting the site. But where exactly are you going to smoke? I mean, hopefully you're playing Brimstone because you need at least 3 to block all 3 sightlines. But even then, where are you going to be playing on post plant? All the enemy team needs is 1 smoke and maybe a good molly or something, and then you're screwed. You're going to get it flushed out. You need to take more space than that if you want a solid game plan. It's just like on Split. You go out B or A main without taking map control, you're just going to get dumpstered on and lose. But if you take a look over at mid, that's where things get easier. I mean, just look at mid. I mean, this place looks like a giant arena. Why not fight for it? So let's say that you do want to hit A. A more reasonable approach would be to smoke or molly mid doors, then drone, KO knife, sky flash, or breach stun into art. You smoke again, then funnel into sight with your teammates from A main. Now this is where post plant becomes a lot easier. You can now set up so many more crossfires with the map control you have now. This is similar to how you would try and hold ramp on Split, or crossfire from Hell or Rafters. So with mid control, not only do executes and post plants become easier, but lurks do as well. If you successfully get a few kills in mid, this now opens up the option for your team to abuse connector. From there, one of your teammates can stab the enemy in the back as they're rotating, interrupt a retake, or just get valuable information as to where the enemy's going. If you're playing against a team that doesn't have good information, you can get some crazy lurks in, just like you would on Haven. Defenders are just too spread out to be worried about every single lane. And if they do want to clear a connector, they either have to come from the opposite mid entrance or crouch through this awkward vent, which might honestly be the worst angle in the game to be in. Now, a quick cool fact about mid, and this map in general, is that there are just a ton of holes in walls for a ton of creative utility usage. You can throw a Cypher camera through this wall to spot out mid, a Sky Flash for early info, or even a Sova Recon to do some wallbang shenanigans. And before we move on, I want you to look at the rotation time through each spawn without mid control. If you don't have mid, you're going to have a really hard time rotating to each site. This puts that much more emphasis on this part of the map and why you should take it. By the way, if you want to master this Ascent, Haven, love child of a map, check out our course at the website at SkillCapped.com. We also have other map courses as well, so you know the ins and outs of each map, all made by Radiant level players. So make sure you check out the website. Now, I just went on that long tangent about how mid control is like the secret end-all be-all of this map. That doesn't mean though that it's the only way that you should play this map. I just think it's really strong. Let's shift our focus more towards A main and B main. I mentioned before how if you wanted to slam A, it would make for a difficult post plant with not a lot of map control. But just because you don't take mid, that doesn't mean that you can't just take, more of sight. For example, there's this nifty spot called Dugout in Secret that you could set up crossfires from A main from. You just have to take it. If you have the right plant spot and are coordinated about what you want to fight for in a post plant scenario, it could definitely work. Or if you just run it up B main, make sure you take halls, as it once again opens up opportunity to play a ton of crossfires. B main itself is a great spot to play post plant, as you have a lot of room to play around and swing. I mean, just look, there's so much space. By taking map control in these areas, mid control doesn't become as necessary, and could even be an avenue for a super late lurk later in the round. Now, the nice thing about A and B main is that they don't feel claustrophobic. I have room to breathe and move around. If you compare it to a map like Ascent, one well-placed raise paint shell, fade seas could win you the round, but not here. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can still molly chokes and fight for them, but the map just doesn't feel clogged like most of the other maps, especially in B main. If you have a good operator on your team, B main is basically a death sentence, and you need to be careful in how you're clearing them out. So now that we went over the map and what parts are important, let's talk about what agents are better suited to get the job done. Since mid is so important, let's take a look at what agents are going to work the best. Well, I'll be the first to tell you that every initiator is viable, besides Sova. When I played him, it just didn't feel like his recon dart got a ton of value. His owl drone will always be good, but I don't know, it just doesn't last very long. I mean, try him out, you'll see what I mean. On the other hand, you can breach stun so many lanes, KO knife a ton of great spots, sky flash out of these holes or over a wall. You can fade haunt on top of almost any building. And all of their ultimates are insane and provide so much value. You almost need to fight for mid control, and with Sova's arrow, it just seems harder to actually fight with. But with every other initiator, I feel like it's easier to gain map control. And honestly, as of late, it just feels like every other initiator just does Sova's job a lot better. But regardless, with the amount of holes in walls and low building heights, you could run just about any initiator if you wanted to. Now with those guys out of the way, let's talk about the duelists. And honestly, it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone that Raze, Jett, and Neon are probably going to be the most meta on this map, especially Jett. She can double updraft with her ultimate in a ton of places. All these duelists have an easy time following up off their utility from their teammates. Raze's paint shells and Neon's relay bolts do a great job of taking space as well. Combine these with a breach concuss, or flash, or something, and it shouldn't be that hard to take that mid control that we talked about earlier. Now, when we move to Yoru and Reyna, they aren't actually that bad. Yoru's flashes are nice, and again, combined with his teammate's utility, he can get some major value out of his gate crashes. And with Reyna's leers, they offer you protection from all these random angles that exist on the map. You can just throw out a leer, and you're basically protected from anything around you. Plus, being able to throw her flashes through walls and ceilings for her teammates is also another major plus. She just kinda sucks over in B main, as her flashes won't really blind an operator, and Phoenix still sucks. Now let's talk about the controllers, and honestly, the only one that feels kinda weak is Viper. On attack, her wall just feels clunky. I mean, her abilities are strong, don't get me wrong, but if you ever want to rotate or something, you just can't. She isn't flexible enough. But who I really like on this map are Astra and Omen. Both can set up their teammates for big plays. Astra can pull and suck areas in mid, A main, B main. I mean, she, unlike Viper, is really flexible, and her wall is really strong on B site for retake or attack. It breaks up major crossfires or allows for easy plants. And it's kinda nice seeing her creep back into the meta. And as for Omen, you can paranoia so many things. You can blind A main, shops, and through so many of these hallways. As long as you have someone to follow up off your blind, Omen should be pretty meta. Keep in mind, he also has the most smokes as well, perfect for defaulting. Also, another fun fact, there aren't many great one-ways that you can do with his smokes, besides these ones in mid. These are great, but it seems like Riot really cleaned up their walls and might phase out Omen's one-way potential. We'll see. Now for Brimstone, he's not that bad either. He has 3 immediate smokes for teams who love to run it down, and being able to deploy 3 smokes at once on this map is huge. As once you get mid control or a couple kills in mid, rotation times are long for defenders, and no one's going to be there to slow you guys down, especially if you're stimmed up. Now last, and certainly not least, let's talk about the Sentinels. And honestly, they're all good in their own way. Cypher can throw some pretty cool cams at the start of the round for pretty early info, and since mid control is so important, his trapwires provide you a ton of information, and his cages provide you those extra smokes you might need once you're splitting through mid. The only thing I don't like about him is that his sight holds don't seem that strong. With the way that sites are built, there aren't that many cool things you can do with his trapwires to create some nasty, insane setups. But for information, he's really good. And for Killjoy, let me tell you, her ultimate is insane. Whether attacking or defending, her ultimate can be used in so many different spots and ways and just get a ton of value. Her turret and her alarm bot though are kind of hard to use. Unlike on Ascent, you can't really fight alongside her utility. The sites are just too open. So if you want to get the most out of her, try her out in mid and create some traps with your teammates. And then Sage is, Sage. She's not anything special on this map, like she is on Icebox, but her slow orbs are great at taking map control. But her wall feels a little clunky to use, and kind of feels bad to use as just another smoke. But like I said, a wall is still a freaking wall. You can create some crazy plays with it, and still slow down a push really well with her orbs. I mean, honestly, Sage is a solid pick in any map. And then lastly, we have to talk about Chamber. I mean, honestly, there's not much to talk about. His rendezvous allows for insane rotation times, sort of. I mean, this map is just so big that even if Chamber puts his teleports in the most efficient of spots, the rotation time still takes a while. But his trademark can hold connector to deny lurks. He's obviously really strong on B main, as his ultimate allows him to abuse these long sightlines, and he has a pocket guardian. So Chamber's teleport might not be that great on paper, but like any agent with a get out of jail free card is going to be meta on any map. He's pretty good. That's all we got for our video today. But remember that if you're really looking to improve in Valorant, I highly recommend checking out SkillCapped.com. We get it, you're just a player trying to get better at the game. That's why you're watching this video in the first place. You're capable of hitting that rank that you deserve, but there's no shame in asking for a little help. At SkillCapped.com, we spend hours going through viewer-submitted replays to let you know all the mistakes that you're making. We also couple this with our smart commentaries to show players that it is possible to carry themselves out of whatever rank that they're stuck in. It might seem hopeless at times, but trust me when I say that we can help you all out. All you have to do is check out SkillCapped.com, link in the description below. So hopefully you guys are now more prepared for this map's release. Pearl is honestly probably going to be one of my favorite maps, as you can run a wide variety of agents. They're all just mostly viable. I can't wait for this map to officially come out so we can see what kind of combinations people end up coming up with. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel down below. It really does help us out. And that's all for us. I'm Teets, and we here at SkillCapped want to thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.